Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to the Stand on the Truth podcast, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Welcome back to the show. I am your host, April Chapman. And honey, listen, today we're going to be diving into yet another embarrassing episode of what happens when emotionally unstable leadership runs your city. Now, who was our star for today? Well, we're going to be talking about none other than Jonesboro, Georgia's very own Mayor Danya Sarter.
At this time, I'd like to present before Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I'm rendering my resignation as mayor of the city of Jonesboro.
Just hours after Jonesboro mayor announced her resignation, she changed her mind and says that she won't step down after all. Mayor Danya Sarter has been mayor of Jonesboro for the last 2 years. She said she was stepping down amid disputes with the city council, but then reversed that decision just hours later. Fox 5's Tyler Finger live for us in Jonesboro tonight. Tyler, what's going on here?
Yeah, Tom, good evening to you. Jonesboro's mayor announced her decision to resign yesterday during a city council meeting here at City Hall, and then just a matter of hours later sent out a note to all the media outlets saying that she was going to keep her job. But now some city council members want to make that decision stick.
I am so grateful for the opportunity to have been elected as the 16th mayor of the city of Jonesboro.
You can call it the Jonesboro City Hall confusion, and it's all centered around Mayor Danya Sarter. She made a tearful resignation announcement Thursday afternoon, but hours later she said her April 19th resignation has been rescinded.
I've changed my mind and will not offer a resignation as mayor.
Mayor Sarter explained her decision during a news conference Friday morning, not at Jonesboro City Hall, but more than 20 miles north in Atlanta's Ansley Park neighborhood.
I cannot in my heart let down the citizens, the thousands of citizens who are dependent on me to fulfill and complete my office as mayor of the city of Jonesboro.
Mayor Sarter's change of course has thrown the city into chaos as some city council members try to find some way to make her public resignation permanent. Councilman Don Dixon says they may take legal action.
You've made your decision, stick with it and go. If that wasn't what you were going to do, you shouldn't have said anything.
The city has been in the process of finding a firm to perform an audit on the city's finances and the charge cards used by employees and elected officials. Mayor Sarter said she planned to resign in mid-April to see the audit through and be cleared of any wrongdoing. It's no secret there's issues between the mayor and city council. The Fox 5i team unpacked that tension following a contentious meeting last year. Mayor Sarter says the abrupt resignation came under duress by several of her colleagues. She says she believes she has the right to rescind her resignation based off a 1960s Georgia Attorney General opinion, which indicates that public officials can withdraw a resignation before it's accepted, unless it was effective immediately.
I just hope we get all of this worked out and get back to running the city.
And all of this comes amid a number of other resignations in the city. The council does plan to meet on Monday to take up her resignation that she says is now no longer on the table. We're live in Jonesboro tonight. Tyler Fingert, Fox 5 News.
Yeah, just a bizarre sequence of events that unfolded just last night. Tyler, thanks for the latest.
So, Jonesboro Mayor Danya Sarter. Apparently, she thinks running a city is like playing hopscotch. So she's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. First she quits, then she says, never mind, I'm staying. But guess what? Guess what, you guys, what triggered this entire soap opera? A forensic audit into her spending. Yes, you heard that right. Her resignation, it just so happens, coincidentally, to follow an investigation into how she's been handling taxpayer dollars. But don't y'all worry. No, she swears that the two things have nothing to do with each other. I promise all of this is simply coincidental. So let's break this down, because what we're seeing is yet another example of why these DEI mayors, particularly many of these Black female DEI mayors, have been a complete and utter disgrace. This is what happens when you put emotionally fragile, DEI-backed, diversity hire mayors in charge of actual governance. This is what happens when you prioritize representation and symbolism over competence. And so Mayor Sarter, she's been in office since 2023. Fast forward to now, the Jonesboro City Council, they requested a forensic audit into her spending. Now, if you know anything about local government, when they start sniffing around your finances and throwing the word forensic in there, it usually means that something ain't adding up. So what does the mayor do? She announces dramatically, I might add, that she's resigning effective immediately in this special meeting that she called. But here's where it gets laughable. Here's where it gets laughable. She then clarifies that, oh no, I'm not quitting. I'm just stepping down to ensure compliance with the audit process. Oh, okay. So sis, are you resigning or no? Because that sounds like someone that's trying to dodge accountability, but also wants to act like they're taking the high road. So then, just when you think it's over, boom, she backtracks like within hours, saying that she's actually going to stay in office. And I'm like, ma'am, pick a struggle. What? Like if you weren't guilty of anything, why quit in the first place? And then if you are guilty of something, why are you suddenly deciding to stay? You see, dear ones, this is what happens when you have leaders who think governing is about emotions instead of integrity. People who were never qualified to lead in the first place, but they got put into power because someone said, hey, we need more Black women in charge. No, what we need are more competent people in charge, period. Now, let me give you some backstory. Mayor Sarter, she isn't the first Black female DEI mayor to run her city like a badly scripted reality show. I want to take you guys down a trip down memory lane so that we can revisit some of her sister girls in disaster. One, you got Lori Lightfoot. She gets an honorable mention because she's Black and female and lesbian. So Lori Lightfoot of Chicago, that when she got into office, the crime skyrocketed, businesses fled, and when she got voted out, she blamed, wait for it, racism and sexism. Number two, you had London Breed of San Francisco. This woman allowed the city to turn into a lawless cesspool. Then suddenly started cracking down on crime when businesses stopped funding the nonsense. Another mayor is LaToya Cantrell of New Orleans. This woman lived like a queen, queen with a K, while the city that she was supposed to be leading just fell apart. And then last but not least, we cannot forget to mention Tiffany Supermayor Henyard. Don't even need to break down Tiffany Henyard for you. She went from breaking into cars for a living to running a city and a township into the pits. Now we can add Mayor Danya Sarter. We can add her to the list because not only is she incompetent, but now she's out here playing games with public trust and taxpayer dollars. But here's where it gets really interesting, dear ones. This woman, this woman who is now embroiled in a financial scandal, built her entire political career on race baiting and victimhood. You know, we could not cover this video without discussing the race baiting and the victimhood. She literally got into politics because she showed up to a council meeting, looked around, saw that there weren't enough people who looked like her, and then decided that that was a problem. Not crime, not infrastructure, not fiscal mismanagement. Nope, none of the things that actually matter to people. Just the fact that she was in the room with non-Black people. And that, dear ones, that is how you get a disaster like this. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning real quick. Because Mayor Sarter, she's been problematic from the beginning. From the jump, this lady's been a problem. This woman literally said out loud, like on record, that she never planned to get into politics, right? She tells the story, but and explains how she attended a city council meeting and then decided, because there weren't enough Black people in leadership, that she needed to run. That's it. That was the reason. Not because she had a passion for policy, not because she had a plan to fix anything. Nope. She felt underrepresented just by looking around. So let's unpack that real quick. You have the city of Jonesboro. They have a population of about 53%, 53% Black. Then the remaining 26% are white, and the rest are like Hispanic, Asian, and mixed. So Sartor looked at the council where no one had done anything to her. No one had mistreated her. No one had made her feel unwelcome. And then she decided that was oppression, right? Let me read to you this quote. She goes, quote, "Even though everyone was generous and kind to me that night," she's referring to the night of the election, she goes, "This is a body of people who govern a predominantly Black city, but none of them are Black." So I'm confused. How did we get here? How did we get here to where everyone was nice to you, everyone was celebrating and cheering for you, but somehow the first thought that came to your mind were thoughts of slavery and being a domestic? Okay, so let me read y'all this. It then goes on to say, not only were these women misrepresented by their oppressors, but they also must have felt the injustice of how politics did not work for their lives. She says, those women couldn't have felt pride in the presence of people who did not have their best interests at heart. Y'all, this woman went so far as to say that sitting in that room gave her some kind of mystical connection to wet nurses, domestic workers, and enslaved women. Y'all, the red flags have been here all along. They've been here all along. So I guess in her mind, a room full of white people is automatically a threat. You see, this is how the DEI victimhood mindset works. It has nothing to do with actual oppression. It's not about actual unfair policies. It's not about barriers to entry. It's not about any of that. No, it is about a perpetual grievance mentality that sees everything through the lens of race, even when race has absolutely nothing to do with it. Ma'am, what are you talking about? You were literally sitting in a climate-controlled government building, freely running for public office, surrounded by people who were kind and welcoming, and your first instinct is to compare yourself to enslaved women. You can't make this up. Even though everyone was generous and kind to her, this is what she says. She goes, even though everyone was generous and kind to me that night, I couldn't help but feel like an oppressed slave. This is why people don't take these DEI politics seriously. Because when you have privileged, educated Black women running around pretending like they are Harriet Tubman every time they enter a room with white people in it, we've got a problem. Y'all, something is wrong with you if when you walk into a room full of white people that you walk away feeling this way. White people are not making you feel like that. That is all you. This is why I call them orangutans, female imbeciles who cannot manage their misery. So now let's fast forward. After years of nurturing her self-inflicted racial grievance, This mayor finally, she gets into office. First as a councilwoman, then as a mayor. And what does she do? What is her big plan to fix Jonesboro, Georgia? More DEI nonsense. Let me go ahead. Let me read to you what her plan was to fix Jonesboro, Georgia. Priority number 1, civic engagement. Translation, make everything about race. Make everything about race and representation instead of actual governance. Priority number 2 was fiscal responsibility. Translation, make sure equity determines pay, not actual qualifications. Priority number 3, gender neutrality in the city charter. I guess because the real issue, that's the real issue that's plaguing Jonesboro, gender neutrality. And so this is where we are. We are here. The same woman who ran on fiscal responsibility is now resigning after a forensic audit was ordered on her spending. But remember, y'all, it has nothing to do with that. Lies. This is a total coincidence, according to Mayor Sarter. So here's the real problem. I have told y'all, DEI-backed leaders like Sarter don't actually solve problems. They don't govern based on competence. They govern based on feelings, mostly their own feelings of inadequacy and self-inflicted racial grievance. And let's be real. If the demographics were reversed, if a white woman walked into a room, saw it was mostly Black, and said she felt oppressed and unrepresented, she would be called a racist. So why is it okay when a Black politician does this? Why is it okay for Black politicians to do it? I'll tell you why. The reason why it's okay for Black politicians to do this is because the DEI movement isn't about fairness or equality. It's about power. Yes, it is about people like Sarter using race as a weapon to justify why they deserve authority, even if they're terrible at their jobs. And so what happens when they fail? Do they take responsibility? Do they ever admit that they were in over their heads? No. They pull out the same tired oppression card and blame racism and sexism or the system. Listen to this unhinged rant in a city council meeting from Jonesboro.
A power struggle between Jonesboro's mayor and the city council that's been brewing for more than a year has now come to a head.
Tensions exploded during a heated argument in a public meeting, which was captured by the city's cameras. On one side, council members trying to rein in who they say is an out-of-control chief executive. On the other, a mayor accusing her colleagues of racism. Fox 5 High Team reporter Johnny Edwards has kept up with Jonesboro since reporting on unfair speeding tickets. Johnny is here now, and we understand there's footage of that city council blowout, which kind of paints the picture of what's been going on there.
Well, Russ and Courtney, on the surface, it was a fight over who runs meetings. But the real issue is who runs the city. It started with talk of reforming the ethics committee, something council members want to check the powers of the mayor. In the video, council members accuse the mayor of bullying. She calls them racist and cowards.
It's very inappropriate. Mayor, go ahead, it's very inappropriate for you to do what you do.
On the night before last week's presidential election, this happened in Jonesboro.
So you can learn to quit bullying council. I'm not bullying. Y'all can stop being so racist. Maybe I would have to. You're right, here we go. Let's expose what you all said behind closed doors. Little cowards.
A verbal melee and a near meltdown in a public meeting.
You know what? I have not tied y'all hands. I have executed what the charter says I'm entitled to, and that pisses you all off.
Can I do a better job at remaining calm during council meeting? I'm a work in progress in that.
So what's behind all this? Over a year of infighting between Mayor Danya Sarter and the majority of council.
I think it is one person wanting things one way and pushing, and then other people wanting things their way. So I think it's more of a power struggle than anything.
I'm just simply exercising the powers that the charter bestows upon me by virtue of me holding this position, and I think some council members are struggling with that.
To review, in September 2023, the council voted to hire an outside attorney to investigate allegations against the mayor. The final report accused her of, among other things, pointing a gun at a police lieutenant in her office. Mayor Sarter still won re-election. A GBI probe found no evidence of criminal wrongdoing, and the Clayton County DA declined to prosecute. Is it true that you pointed a gun at a lieutenant?
No, it's not true, and the GBI felt that it was not true as well.
The mayor would fire the police chief and 2 other officers involved in that investigation. Now, council members accuse her of ruling by fear, causing the city to lose its directors of public works, finance, IT, and the city clerk.
She yelled, she screamed, she cussed at an employee, and all this stuff, and we can't stop it.
You're right, because the charter does not allow you all to stop it.
Weaponized our charter.
I have not weaponized any, because if sue me for anything that I've done that's not applicable to me. That's what y'all are pissed about.
I can tell you, though, and the record would show, a number of our employees have left because they went for better paying jobs.
Some council members even went to Clayton County's legislative delegation recently, asking to change the city charter so day-to-day operations would be run by the city manager, not the mayor. The request went nowhere.
And this strong mayor system had been in place for I don't know how many years. Now I get in this position as an African-American woman, and all of a sudden you're trying to change my particular powers.
Which brings us to last week and the council's push for an ethics committee. The 3-member panel, 2 appointed by council and 1 appointed by the mayor, could investigate complaints against employees, board members, and elected officials, taking findings to the mayor and council, which could reprimand, censure, withhold pay, request resignation, or seek removal from office.
I think it would be a very good tool to keep us all in check, to make sure we're all moving in the right direction for the right reason.
The ruckus began with talk about selecting appointees and the mayor admonishing Messick to only speak when called on.
And Mayor Pro Tem, for the record, if you speak again when I have not acknowledged you, you will not speak for the rest of this session.
Mayor?
Nope.
The Mayor Pro Tem walking out.
Just let her leave. Just let her leave.
You don't have to.
Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? First of all, what is wrong with you? Why are you conducting the meeting this way? And then when someone calls you out on your BS, your first knee-jerk reaction is racism and what y'all are saying behind closed doors. And lady, this is not the time or the place for that. This is insanity. This is the orangutan behavior, the matriarchal squalor that I am always talking about. These are the women that are in charge of leadership. And are we shocked and confused that the generation that is around today, we can pretty much throw them away and they go in hell in a handbasket? Are we surprised? This is who's raising people. And so my message is clear to the people who are listening to me. This is why you do not vote for people just because they look like you. You have to stop electing emotional, unqualified leaders. You need to hold them accountable. Stop tolerating this nonsense in our cities. Y'all, this has got to stop. The first Black female, whatever, it is turning out to be a disaster because of the types that we are putting into power. It has nothing to do, if you are a female and you are Black and you happen to be the first, we only see these kinds of problems with these liberal, progressive, woke types. These are the only time that we see this problem happening. This cycle of electing these DEI-backed, emotionally unstable disasters, it has got to end. We have to stop voting based on skin color and gender. Because if they're corrupt or incompetent, and they remotely smell like they've been running in the Victim Olympics, don't walk. You need to run away. It does not matter if they're Black or female or historic first. Meritocracy needs to be the name of the game. So that is my first admonition on this situation. The second one is you need to pay attention to the track record. If they have no real history of leadership or financial responsibility, they should not be running a city. And number 3, we need to demand accountability. Because if they fail, we got to call it out. If they are doing if they're having all these little emotional outbursts and acting a fool when you disagree with them, it is time to cut them loose. These orangutan females are loose cannons, unable to manage their misery. That is why they show out. And since they are miserable in their personal lives, everyone on the professional front has to experience their wrath. They make everybody in the city miserable. Life in the city is miserable for everyone under their leadership. No more making excuses for bad, power hungry, miscreant leaders. We can't have it anymore. And then number 4, if you are not a Christian, even if you're not a Christian, here is some just biblical advice that just works no matter who you are. Choose a leader who has proven themselves to be wise, competent, and emotionally stable. Not someone who cries racism when they get exposed for bad decision making. Not someone who is riding on the gender or ethnicity pathway and riding on that to pave the way for them. I am telling you, if they smell like they are dripping with the sweat of a victim Olympics marathon, you need to run. So to Mayor Sarter, since you clearly can't decide if you stand or if you're going, just let me help you out. Lady, just go. For real this time. Just go. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, because we are all tired of the victimhood act and the financial mismanagement. We don't deserve all of this. And we're tired of putting up with this. I don't even live in Jonesboro and I feel burdened by this. So y'all, listen, that's my time. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, grace and